Hello and welcome to the show. It's Tuesday, August the 1st. On tonight's show, we'll be reviewing our 5-3 success in the US Tour versus Barcelona. We'll also be previewing our Emirates Cup tie v AS Monaco. Also previewing our Community Shield tie against Manchester City. Also, in sensational breaking news coming out this evening, we'll be talking about David Raya from Brentford, and also, at long last, a statue in dedication to Arsene Wenger. Sit back and enjoy the show. I'm joined by my regular guests, and where it all started 2.5 years ago. John Meany, how are you, pal?
Not too bad, Johnny. Nice to be back.
What seldom is wonderful, I think you'd agree. You're looking very sophisticated with the glasses, John. Nice change.
Trying and waiting beside my phone, waiting for the call. Months and waiting.
I was going to say low professor, but low baker, Amelia, does that sound good?
Bed professor. Better. Yeah.
We're sick with Professor Baker, so. Welcome, John. Thanks for coming back on. Pleasure to have you again. And also by our very own Brendan Boyle. How are you, Brendan? Nice to have you back.
All good. All good. Nice to be back, lads.
You all having a good summer, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a bit of sunshine before the summer's out, that's for sure. But I think we'll start off with, I think it's fair to say, we'll start off with the women's game. Ireland sadly knocked out against Canada there last Wednesday. But our very own Katie McCabe scored a wonder goal from a corner kick against Canada. I'm not being biased here, but I think Katie McCabe is our best player for the women's team. You know, her dedication and our pure passion for the game was really, I saw in all 3 games there in the group stage. It was just, she's a great role model for upcoming girls that are going to be playing football or are interested in playing football. And it's great to see, and I think she deserves all the credit and the Irish women as well. Alessia Russo scored against China today for England. They're through to the next round. Illestead and Blackstenius progressed with Sweden as well into the last 16, and Victoria Pelova for Holland as well. I'll come to you, John. What do you make of the Irish women's team in the World Cup? Very pleasing on the eye.
It's huge for them to be there. First time ever in a major tournament. I don't think they've been disgraced. It was a group of deaths. Yeah. Australia, the hosts, so one of the favourites. Canada, the Olympic champions. I don't follow. I'm not going to claim to be an expert in the women's game, so Nigeria surprised me. I did watch the game against Australia when they beat them, and they looked a very useful outfit against Ireland. Ireland done well to get a point against them. They really surprised me how strong they looked. You're right about Katie McCabe. She's the class act in the Irish squad.
Yeah.
I think it was always going to be just go there, try and put on a good show, don't come home disgraced. I thought he played well in all the games.
Yeah.
He just had a little bit of cutting edge and a little bit of, final class ball in the last third of the pitch. They deserve a lot of praise just for getting there. And I hope it gives the Irish game a huge boost. And hopefully we'll see more Katie McCabe playing in the English game in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think they can all. I thought to say from Brosnan yesterday was very Gordon Banks-esque, as Tony O'Donoghue said, and it wasn't it. It was she really gave it the performance of her life yesterday, didn't she?
Great,
yeah. Yeah, I have to say, heads held high and weren't disgraced in any 3 games, and even some of the decisions went against them. Sadly, I think they deserved probably to maybe finish second, but look, for the first appearance of a major tournament, heads held high and the future looks bright. Brendan, did you see any of the Irish women games over the group stage? Pretty impressive, weren't they?
I watched the first couple. I didn't see the last one against Nigeria, but I was really impressed that they got there in the first place. And and as you're saying, Katie McCabe with just a tiger and skill, everything. I just think she's fantastic, and I really like watching her. And she's, I think she'd kick anyone up in the air. Like she just plays her game, gets on with it. I love that. I just love seeing that. And she has the sort of joy for the game as well. So it's she's a credit, and that's not taken away from obviously the serious skill level that she has, and all the girls. But it's the game has come on, and that's only going to push it on. And you can see by the massive crowds they had supporting them, which is, it's going to spur people on further down the line for the next tournament and such and so forth. So yeah, it was brilliant. And as John was saying, they were in the group of death, but they only lost by a goal in each game, and even they got the draw with Nigeria. So they were always going to be up against it, and fair play to them, heads held high on their way home.
Yeah, I have to say, Katie McCabe, she wouldn't look out of place in the men's team, that's for sure. She's just raw passion. In terms of the other girls I mentioned, lads, Alessio Russo, she's not to be some signing, isn't she, for us, John?
That's a youth. We obviously tried to sign on in January, during the January window.
Yeah.
The free is huge, but we lost so many players last year, the ACLs.
Yeah.
All strikers, it was important to get someone in. And she's at the highest level of the women's game. She really is. There's very few strikers that can match her. So that's a huge boost for Ireland. For Arsenal, sorry. And England that they actually got a huge win today into the last 16. Yeah. They're going to be one of those sides. No one's going to want to play them. They're well capable of winning this thing.
Yeah. Say you're the same, Brendan. Say you'd like to see the other girls progress further in the competition. Would you, for Sweden and Holland and England?
Well, maybe not England.
Anyone but England, yeah.
yeah, that's the way. But the strange thing is, like John touched on it there, the ACL, all the ACL injuries. That's great, and they're trying to work out what's been causing them, and they still obviously they don't have a clue. They were looking at boots, the load on them, and stuff like that. It's concerning for any athletes to be injured, but for them all to be injured in the same way and the same area, that is a big concern. Yeah,
it's happening a lot actually for not only Arsenal, but a lot of the women's teams in the Women's Super League. It seems to be a recurring injury, doesn't it? I know the Chelsea manager. She was saying that even a couple of her own, it's predominantly in women that injury, isn't it? It happens in men, but not in one season.
Frequency over the last couple of years. The women's game being flooded with ACLs, which is a serious injury. As Brent says, they're looking into it scientifically. Has it got something to do with the shape of the hips and density of the bones and the way they move? At least they're looking into it and taking it as a serious issue.
It's very helpful
to find a solution. Because it's crazy losing so many players to such a serious injury in such a short space of time. Something has to be done about it. It has to be looked into.
Yeah, and the women's game has improved so much over the last few seasons.
Absolutely. You're looking at great young people as well, so you don't want to be putting them off with no solution to this. So they have to find sort of.
Yeah, fingers crossed that they find a solution to it over the season. Yeah. Best of luck to the women's team, the women that's left in the competition for the Arsenal, and hopefully they progress further in the competition. But it does a big shout out to Katie McCabe by far, the player of the tournament for Ireland. I think we'll agree. And no shame there. Heads held high. They can be very proud of what they achieved. So, they'll be coming home soon. I suppose we kick on to the men's side, lads. Last Thursday, we finished our US tour off with a 5-3 win against Barcelona. From what I saw in the highlights, it looked a really good game to finish off with. Both teams attacking minded. Goals from Saka, Havertz, Trossard with 2, and Fabio Vieira with a wonder goal for the 5th, and Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Torres for Barcelona. One player that's really impressed me, lads, in all the US tours being Leandro Trossard. He's chipped in with a good few goals, and he's becoming the player that we saw for Brighton. And the assists he had for us from January to May as well. He's only improving as a player under Arteta. I'll go to the game first, though, John. Did you see any of the game against Barcelona?
I didn't watch the live, but I did watch the extended highlights, and I read a few reports. As friendly matches go, that was a tasty game. That was prime entertainment for 70,000 fans. There was a bit of an edge to it as well, which is unusual to see, but watch, it really was. I think I'd have a heart attack if I saw too many more games like in the Premier League. But as pre-season friendlies goes, that's a quality game to watch. Yeah.
Were you happy with the Fabio Vieira? There's some goal he scored, wasn't it, the fifth?
It was a super strike. He's a talented player. I think it's just a case of getting the right position for him and the right players around him. But something I touched on last time I was on at the end of last season. I just wonder whether he's going to get the chance. I think he's an understudy to Odegaard.
Yeah.
Going to be a hell of a lot of games this season for Champions League. You're looking at the top players now are playing between 60 and 70 games if you take into account the international as well. You can't have players at the highest level playing that amount of games, so there needs to be rotation. And I think that's Arteta's biggest task this season, to rotate the squad and keep us in contention. The last couple of seasons, he's picked everyone knew he was supposed to 11, and he went with it because there was something big at the end of it. I think this time around he has a squad now, and I think he's going to have to learn how to rotate it. And I'm sure we'll touch on it later. The depth of the squad is unreal. I think if we sit down and compare first 11, you're going to get lots of different answers.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's the first time in many a season, John, that fans will actually argue what's his best 11, isn't it? Where you could nearly pick it at times. Yeah.
It's unreal. Players can play in different positions. You touched on Trossard, left wing, false 9. You know, he probably even cover Odegaard himself. He's an incredibly versatile player. I'm delighted to have him in the squad.
Were you happy, John, with the US tour? I know it was only 2 or 3 games we had there, but were you happy with the contribution of Rice, Timber, and Havertz, the new signings we made?
Those friendlies would have been played anywhere. It could have been played in Australia, in Japan. It doesn't matter. It's the amount of time they had training together.
Yeah,
getting a few miles into the legs before the season starts. You can't judge players on pre-season friendlies. The time to judge them is for this game in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know Brendan Eamon touched on that point, but John said there, the pre-season games are really just getting minutes in the legs and getting the tactics right for the forthcoming season, and getting the new signings bond and in with the lads. But in terms of the match last Thursday against Barcelona, did you see any of it yourself? Were you pleased with the US tour in general as well?
I watched the Man United game, all of it, and I thought we were quite poor in there. The Barcelona game, I only saw the goals and a few highlights, to be honest. But as you're saying, it's a case of building relationships with the new players and whatever positions Arteta wants them and the existing players to play. I think people are thinking that he's going to play a different sort of style and stuff. So that's what it's all about. The results don't matter. I think somebody posted up somewhere that the Invincibles got beaten all their pre-season games or there or thereabouts. So it doesn't really matter. But I wasn't too impressed to see us getting beaten by Man United, to be honest. I had a bit of a puss on me, but to be fair, Barcelona, it looked, as you're saying, a cracker of a game, and like the challenge on Jesus, it just showed, and I know like Barcelona were complaining that Arsenal were a little bit physical, but
he started it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're going to play pre-season games, and especially now we have a bigger squad, these players have to play for their positions. Yeah. So he touched on Trossard, and he's been excellent. And when we signed him, he was really good. And I remember I was at the Brighton game at home, and I was having a conversation with how impressed I was with Trossard. And he turned out to have one of the worst games I've ever seen. Like, he couldn't control the ball. He was giving it away all the time. And I was like, well, hopefully that wasn't just a flash in the pan. But obviously, I think he's got a full pre-season with Arsenal under his belt. And now he looks like he's got the bit between his teeth. And that's fabulous. I mean, the more competition we have for places, people aren't resting on their laurels, and it's only going to be good for the team. And plenty of games to go around for everybody. And it's I'm delighted with him, and some of the players that come in. Timber looks nice. Okay. Looks a nice. Havertz. I think I almost feel sorry for him because it was an out of the blue signing. Nobody really expected it, and people were jumping on him straight away. And like, he scored 2 goals in pre-season, and what more can you really ask? Except that the proof will be in the pudding when the season starts, or even next weekend against City. So, fingers crossed. Arteta has seen something in him, and he wanted him. So, and like, he's another one. He's got a full pre-season with Arsenal, so we keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we didn't see the best of Havertz, in fairness, lads, for Chelsea last year. They were so disgruntled. There was no togetherness. They were such a mess. I think all the heads that went down really at Chelsea. And you can see with the clear out there that they've had this summer. They've got rid of the players that weren't performing and weren't gelling. Like, a complete contrast to our squad last year, where everyone bonded really well, and that's how we had such a good season. So I think we might see what Chelsea saw in signing him. I think we could see the real Kai Havertz stand up, as they say. But I know Edu and Arteta said on the US tour that they were looking at him last season a lot, seemingly, and he's been under radar. I don't know what you think on Timber, but he's very athletic, isn't he? And I think he can fit into different positions there at the back, which physically he's really well built for 22. Ajax done a really good job on him, like they do with all players.
He's only 5'9" though for a centre half, which is
yeah.
But like, so is what's your man at Man United? He's only Martinez.
Yeah.
So everyone was saying, "Oh, he'll never make it as a 5'9" centre back in the Premiership," and
look what happened.
He's cut from Katie McCabe cloth, isn't he? So.
Yes, Katie McCabe, the terrier, they call her. Yeah, we do with her in a few games where she was willing to play for the men's squad, I tell you. No, but yeah, I'm really pleased with the 3 signings at the moment. They've really gelled in, and they seem to be bonding as well. It's such a young squad as well. They've done a really good job. Arteta and Edu, they've got the age profile down to a T, and fingers crossed that the forthcoming season can be as successful as last. It brings us on to really our last pre-season friendly as such, which is tomorrow evening against AS Monaco. It coincides really with the Arsene Wenger statue reveal last Friday, being his former club. Arsene Wenger managed them from 87 to 94 and won the Ligue 1 title in 1988 and the Coupe de France in 91. So relatively successful before he went on to Grand Prix 8 in Japan, I have to say. And then, of course, in 96, he joined Arsenal for 22 years. 3 Premier League titles, 7 FA Cups, and 22 years in charge. And a long overdue statue as well. AS Monaco, they struggled last year. They didn't make Europe at all. They completely fell off to finish 5th or 6th. They lost Axel Disasi, their defender there, to Chelsea yesterday. He was in the World Cup squad for France. The main players really I've noted, lads, for what it's worth, there's been a pre-season game. They've got a lad there, Maripan, at the back, who really impressed me. I watch a lot of the games on BT, the French league. He really impressed me as a centre-back. Golovin, the midfielder, the Russian player, you probably might have heard of him, fairly decent himself. Minamino played for Liverpool, the Japanese player. Gelson Martins, a right winger. He played for Sporting Lisbon there a couple of seasons back and really impressed me as well. Kevin Volland, the German centre forward. Ben Yedder, also need forward as well. In terms of ourselves, it's a sellout, this game. I'm going to it myself. Got a ticket for 15 quid, which is great value, and it's a really good tournament. It's a meaningless tournament as such, but it's great to see, a sellout for such a meaningless game, you could say. But it's great to see fans. They're willing to see Arteta's team. There's a real excitement about it. John, the results probably be meaningless tomorrow evening, but what would you like to see from the Arsenal squad tomorrow evening against Monaco? Would you like to see a big performance being back at the Emirates?
Absolutely. I mean, it's it's really the last real friendly. I know there'll be a bit of a competitive edge in the Charity Shield, but it's the first chance for the home crowd to see the new signings, and you'd want to, you want to give them a big show. Last season against Seville, we whooped our asses, and it led to a really, really big season for Arsenal. So you'd like to see something similar. The new players, and maybe a glimpse of what Arteta has in mind for the likes of Havertz and the likes of Rice and the likes of Timber, and just to give us a glimpse of what we can look forward to.
Yeah, Brendan, what would you like to see from the game tomorrow evening? A good performance being back at the Emirates?
Absolutely, and it's just feel good factor back again. Like all last season, it was great. It was great in the stadium. Like I've never heard anything like it, and that's what we just want to bring back in again. You want to get the new guys in to experience it, feel the love from the crowd, which I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, everyone wants to see the new guys, and they want them to do well, and just want us to sort of hit the ground running and stuff, and feel what the journey that we're on. We want everybody on the same page and on the same trajectory up, and I'm sure anyone that wants to sign for Arsenal now, and lots of people do, are all building into this feel good factor, and it's not just a feel good factor. There's a really good, exciting project there, and hopefully these are a few of the missing links. And as you touched on earlier, the squad looks really impressive, and there's a bit of strength in it. All depends, obviously, on injuries and stuff. If we can keep them all relatively fit and add a couple more, which they think they might be doing, and see where it goes. But yeah, just get the feel good factor going again. So
get the new players to lift a trophy. It's only the Emirates Cup, which is our own. But it'd be nice for Rice, Timber, and Havertz just to get that feel of the winning feeling, isn't it? Like it's so regardless of what trophy, it's just it can be a good bonding exercise, can't it? When when you've won something, isn't it? Yeah.
But Spurs were giving it socks about winning. Was it the golf trophy or whatever last week? So I don't think we can. That's my big stuff.
Can't wait.
Shiny.
Yeah, the DVD will be on sale next week.
Yeah.
I hope there's plenty of dust in the cupboard anyway, so it could be taken. They might need a week to get rid of the cobwebs out of the trophy closet there. But as John touched on there, we hammered Sevilla in last season's Emirates Cup, and you could see the new signings really bonded, didn't they? Jesus got a couple there in that game, didn't he? And the love of the crowd, as Brendan said, once you get it off the ground, hit the ground running, you're a fan's favourite, aren't you? And you'd assume that with Declan Rice, he comes out so passionate about joining Arsenal, like a boyhood dream to him, isn't it?
It's a huge step up. He was a really big fish in West Ham. He put them up and he got them into the final last season. He was outstanding for them. He was unfortunately at the Olympic Stadium when we get the 2-0 lead. And but I have to be honest, he really it's a big step up for him to come back. The expectations are bigger. The quality of players around him is better. And the media focus is going to be a hell of a lot more on Arsenal than it was in West Ham. He's a lot to live up to, especially I'm sorry, it's a pity he's not a full international player anymore and never have any international success. Fingers crossed. But, he's now a big fish in a big pond. A lot of big fishes around him. He needs to step up, and I think he has the attitude to do it. He has the ability to do it. Just has to show it.
I think, to be honest, as well, Eamon and Brandon, where there's been in the Champions League, I think he's something to really excel, isn't he?
Calling me Eamon now.
Oh, sorry, John. Sorry. It's the bald head and the glasses are kind of, it's a weird one, you could say. No, but he's well ahead of his years, isn't he, Declan Rice? Though, like he kept West Ham up last season, you could say, and when he won the Europa Conference, that's even just put him on another level, isn't it? So as you said, John, he's a lot to live up to, hasn't he now? But I think he'll take that. I think he's excited about the challenge, isn't he? You know.
Yeah. I think he's a monster. Like every time I've seen him play, and I've seen him play a good few times, he's been the one that I've been worried about at West Ham. And funnily enough, whenever he was sitting back, I was like, yeah, I'm not too worried. As long as Rice sits back, plays just in front of that back four, I'm quite happy. I was more worried whenever he got the ball and started carrying it. He's like a train that you can't stop. And that's what I'd like to see him doing at Arsenal as well. Not just be sitting there doing the little sideways passes, taking the ball off the keeper or whatever, even though that's something we need and something he's very good at. But I'd like to, and I think his game will expand, and Arteta will expand it to make him almost a complete midfielder.
Yeah, that's I went to see him. I think
goals.
It was on Boxing Day when we won 3-1. It was the first game back after the World Cup, and I watched. He stood out. Like when you watch West Ham live against him, he was the standout player. But whenever the centre backs or full backs move forward, he'd always cover. So and he's very clever. He's, as you said, Brendan, he's like a steam train, isn't he? Once he gets going into the attacking front, he doesn't nice these 1-2s, and he gets himself in position to score from nowhere. And even the Arsenal fans would say, I was listening to where I was sitting, God, I'd love him to join the Arsenal, and little did we know, it's 5 months late. He's a real, and he's only young too. He's only 24, is he? So he's got European experience as well, which is going to mean a lot in the Champions League, I reckon. But to be honest, he's definitely a future captain. In my opinion, not putting too much pressure on him or anything, but I think it's going to take a lot to get it off Odegaard. He was a standout player last season as well. Odegaard, had the 50-50 pre-season there, but look, it's only getting players up to speed, and you can't really read too much into it, I suppose. It brings us on to the Community Shield preview, lads, against Man City, 4:00 on ITV, back at Wembley again. We normally win this Community Shield, don't we, anytime we played here? A great test. This will be a really big test. I think always matching up against Pep Guardiola. It's always been good games since Arteta's taken over. The major outs for City to date. Riyad Mahrez went to Saudi Arabia, Al Ahly. They seem to be holding all the cards in terms of what they're offering money-wise. With City, that couldn't even offer him a higher paycheck. I thought he's an unsung hero there, really. I always liked Mahrez. And LK Gundogan went to Barca, so thank God he's gone. They brought in Mateo Kovacic from Chelsea. But I still think their transfer business is still to get into gear. With a month to go, I still reckon there's one or two up their sleeve. They always kind of leave us maybe a week before, or maybe not even a week, maybe a bit after the season starts. But I'll go to you, Brendan. I know you said before we came on air that you're going to this match. How do you see this game going? I know it's only, as another pre-season game, but you could say this is where it starts, isn't it? This is where we'll see where we're up to.
This is where shit gets real, basically. No other way of describing it. No, I know it's a glorified friendly, but again, winning is a habit and losing is a habit, and as I touched on earlier, it's in regards to a feel-good factor. Like if you go in and put in a performance like we did in the last league game against them, where it was men against boys, that's you're going into the season a little bit hamstrung already. I think Arsenal really got to step up to it, and I know they're going to really, really want to, draw a line in the sand and say, right, this is us this season. Last season, we had our injuries, and they had such a massive squad, like best squad in the world basically, and ours, our first 11 or 12 or 13 were probably just as good as theirs, but once you start rolling off the end of that, which we were never going to be able to match them. And I think most people realistically thought if we got lucky, we might have won the league, but they just ran away with it in the end. So it's, but as I say, look, we have to play, and if and I know I won't be too despondent if we get beaten, but I obviously want us to win, and I just hope that we just go for it. And as you say, we've got such a good record in the Community Shield, Charity Shield or whatever, and that's what we've got to do, is go out, play our game, and they'll be worried about us. They were looking over there, well, they were looking up at us all last season.
Yeah.
And but if you know what I mean, they're looking over their shoulder at us coming up strong on the outside, and we're getting closer, and we're closer than we were last season. Yeah. And we just have to prove it. And this is the opportunity.
I think with the signing of Declan Rice, it's shown City that spending 105 million, we're showing intent now, that we are realistic challengers now, I know City threw in 85 million, but deep down, I think they just threw it in to compete. I don't think they really wanted Declan Rice. It was just to throw us off. But I think when City won 4-1 at the Etihad back in April, the relief on Guardiola's face that defeat really put an end to their title challenge, but it was a release. It was a relief off the shoulders that we were gone away from them as a challenger. I think they worried last season that God, Arsenal are actually serious contenders for this title. And it was great. It was so sad to see us peel off after April, but yeah, I do agree with you, Brandon. Yeah, we are there now as title challengers, and we can say that now. That's pretenders, but challengers. Yeah. John, it's always nice to be back at Wembley, isn't it? And this, do you agree? This is our, as Brandon put it, the shit gets real on Sunday.
This has the makings of a really, really good Community Shield. This really has the makings of, as you said, the pretenders to the throne, Arsenal, going into the game to lay down a marker to the champions. When it'll come out that way, I don't know. But I'd really like to see us play strongest team. And like I said at the start of the show, I have no idea who that strongest team is. And put her up to City. Because last season, I don't think we played them with a full 11. There was an issue. Maybe we went to Main Road. Oh, it's not Main Road. To the Etihad, sort of half beat before we got on the pitch. And I think the attitude on Sunday will just lay down a marker. Just say, okay, even if we do lose, you can look at them in the eye and say, okay, you got that one, but there's still a couple more to come. You ain't getting them all this season. Put a marker down. This has the makings of a really, really good game of football. Because City know we're one of the threats. I think it's going to be one of the most competitive Premier Leagues ever. And it's going to be usually important to get a good start. And it'd be nice to go into the league against Forest on the opening day with the Community Shield in your back pocket and a win over City.
Yeah, I think City don't really look at the Community Shield as much, but I think
I don't either. It's the opposition you're looking at.
It's kind of putting down a benchmark, John, isn't it?
It's like you're laying down a marker. Okay,
yeah.
Here we are. We're here.
Yeah,
you finish ahead of us this season, but you're gonna have to finish ahead of us this season.
Yeah. And I think if Haaland does start, we've got the pace to match him now in terms of Timber and Gabriel. It'll be a lot tighter marking than it was with Holding back in April, won't it? Like, he'll face a different. It's different.
Sorry, Brandon. I think the issue wasn't Haaland last season. I think they were just smarter than us last season. Yeah. They were more streetwise. It wasn't just Haaland up against their defenders. It was their midfield was just securer. They were sharper. They knew what they were doing more than we did.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to put the marker down,
And that's where we lost it last year, was in midfield. They absolutely destroyed us in midfield.
Totally.
The only one really trying to pull the strings was Martin Odegaard, really, wasn't he, back in April, and he just got swamped, didn't he?
The whole group, they were smarter than us. They were much more streetwise.
Yeah.
They've been in that situation before we have.
Yeah.
And that's what it looked like. They knew what you were doing. They knew what you had to do, and we struggled against it. This time round, we've got to turn around and say, right, you might still be a little bit older and wiser than us, but we're coming by. You know, that kind of attitude. So, be interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I think with these lads now, there's about, you could say, a good 2 or 3 seasons now under Arteta. They've got the experience now, haven't they? Like this 11 that we have, aside from the new signings, they've tasted it now, you know, and you'd feel that we can match City now, you know. In terms of United and Liverpool, Gary Neville saying that United will finish ahead of Arsenal there the other day. I had to laugh at it. Even Ten Hag came out there. They played Dortmund there the other day, and all the players were arguing with each other. You know, there's just no camaraderie there. You know, Ten Hag is probably trying his best, but I think it's an ego thing with United players. You know, they think they're better than they are. Where on our side, it's every player. They're not selfish. You know, they'll give everything for the team and the players around them, and that's what I see different. There's not one player, you know, as a standout player. The 11 out there are, you know, we're a squad.
Johnny, you can't read wherever matches. You can't read anything into theirs. And for the love of God, stop listening to Gary Neville. Honest to God.
Gary Neville, are you listening? John the Baker, the professor is both. But yeah, I do agree with you. The shit gets real Sunday, doesn't it? You know, this is, you know, it's a good marker for the upcoming game against Forest. Yeah. We move on to some possible transfer chat, lads. Over the last couple of days, David Raya of Brentford says he's interested in joining. It's only down to terms and conditions, seemingly. John, would you like to see him as backup to Aaron Ramsdale?
This is interesting. I do not see us spending £40 million or £40 million on a backup keeper. There's no way, if he comes to Arsenal, there's no way Arsenal spending £40 million on him. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Brentford have already signed his replacement. This is an interesting one. He's a number 1 goalkeeper. If this does happen, we have Ramsdale and Raya. I see that only happening for 1 season, and at the end of the season, one of them will be gone. There's no way the 2 of them are gonna. I just, it's a strange one. To be honest, if you're gonna spend that kind of money in this squad, I see maybe a striker coming in just to give you a different option, something a little bit different to what we have. 40 million on a goalkeeper, as good as Raya is, and he is a typical modern goalkeeper, really good with his feet.
Yeah,
a sweeper keeper, so to say.
Yeah.
Like Ramsdale. It's a little bit out of left field. It'd be interesting to see. It does happen. Ramsdale a lot of.
Yeah, I know. At the end of last season, Spurs were in for him, and Matt Turner. There's talk of going to Forest. Would you like to see David Raya, Brendan, come to the Arsenal?
As you're saying, I know we were after him a few years ago, and I think Brentford wanted 20 million quid for him, and Arsenal bid 10, allegedly, and it didn't take him. But even talking about stuff coming out of left field, Havertz came out of left field, Timber came out of left field, really, and even Aaron Ramsdale, when we signed him, he came out of left field, and I know, like, speaking to the lads and stuff, everyone's going, how come we're spending so much money on a keeper and we've got Bernd Leno, who was a decent keeper?
Yeah.
And it harks a little bit back to George Graham when John Lukic was in goal and he turned around and bought David Seaman.
Yeah.
All the fans were a little bit put out, but then turned out that he was a far better goalkeeper. Now, I'm not saying Raya is a better goalkeeper than Ramsdale, but one of the things I know I was concerned about last season, if Ramsdale got injured, and I thought he was carrying an injury for a part of the end of last season. You noticed it on his kickouts. I thought, if Turner came in, I was never confident in Turner whatsoever. He frightened the life out of me constantly with the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
So I think, they're looking around. If Turner, we bought Turner for 5 million. Forest are going to come in and buy him, so they say. I think you're looking at maybe 15 million, 20 million for him. So
that's good, yeah.
That makes the Raya deal half price. So I think it's great. You know, everyone says it's great to have competition, and you saw Ramsdale in pre-season. He wasn't the greatest. Like, you know, that shot against Man United, a few balls straight out into touch, and he is very good with his feet. Raya allegedly is better, but I haven't seen enough of Brentford to sort of confirm or deny that. But yeah, why not? If we've got the money, obviously we have. Why not go and buy quality? And I think that's all we're doing now. We're not buying. We're maybe the exception of this young lad from Gremio or something that I think that we're meant to be in for, the Brazilian. Everyone we're buying, we're paying big money for, and decent players. So a little bit Galactico sort of signings, I think. Yeah, I don't. You know, if we've got it, why not?
Yeah, we're signing another player as well with Premier League experience as well over the last few seasons as well. You know, that knows the league. It kind of reminds me of a Burnley situation when they had Joe Hurd, Tom Heaton, and Nick Pope. You know, the 3 top keepers, and 2 of them had to go. You know, as John said, you can't see 2 top keepers sticking it out, can you?
That happens. I think we only have one season.
Yeah.
That's the opinion. If it does happen, one of them will go next summer.
Well,
I'd hate to see Ramsdale go, but as Eamon said, he's very weak on his left side, isn't he? I was just watching that free kick against Barca, Rafinha, I think it was. He's very weak getting down, strength-wise as well.
Both keepers have that issues. I don't on the ball. He is excellent with a good. Raya is well keeping coach. He's known since he was a teenager. So that's where the interest is on. I'm just saying it's a very interesting to keep about number 1 goalkeepers. And I don't see them alternating games. Do you play one in the league and one in the Champions League? You could probably do that with 2 goalkeepers of this quality. It's look, this is where you're at against the big bucks. Yeah, let's be honest.
Talking about alternating goalkeepers, like he didn't do it with Turner at all last year, which was a little bit disrespectful, I thought, in some of the games. But I think that showed that he just didn't have the faith in him. And
he gave him a couple of the cup games, Europa League, but he got injured. So again, we had to play Ramsdale in the last couple. Yeah, about Turner. Now, in fairness to Turner, the more games he's got, I've seen him playing for the United States in the Gold Cup, I think. And he had a run of games, and he was excellent. He really was. I know the standard of football is different, but he strikes me as the kind of goalkeeper that he's playing on a regular basis, he will give you a really good, steady performance. I agree with you. Forrest come in with that kind of money, it's a no-brainer. Best of luck to you. It really is. But he's an interesting keeper. I'd keep an eye on if he goes to Forest, because I'd like to see him playing on a regular basis just to see how good he could be. You're right. He gave everyone a heart attack with the ball at his feet. But Raya coming in, huge step forward. I have 2 goalkeepers of that quality in the side.
Yeah, he is quality, Raya. Yeah.
All we now is another centre forward.
I still think we've got 1 or 2 signings still up our sleeve before September, because Edu and Arteta are coming out with a few surprises, especially Havertz, as you said, Brendan. No one saw that one coming at all. That was really kept really quiet of all of them. So, look, it's all speculation at the moment, but so far so good of who we've brought in over the last 2 or 3 windows. In terms of outgoings, lads, I was just looking on the justarsenal.com page yesterday. Pat McLaughlin, our friend there, Football Insider, Kieran Tierney, Father Balogun, Sambi Lakonga, Rob Holding, Nuno Tavares, Matt Turner, as we said there, and Nicholas Pepe. Would they be all players, lads, that you think are going out the door before transfer deadline day?
Depends on the offers, Johnny.
Yeah.
Depends on the offers. If the right offer comes in, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Do you think those names are gone, Brendan, as well? Yeah. Do you think they're yeah?
All of them, I don't have any issues with maybe the exception of Tierney.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think Arteta trusts him. Same as Turner. You know, he plays all right, but he doesn't play how he wants us to play. That's I think
he's gone heavy on who can come inside and play in midfield. That's not changing the game. And he's an old school left back, up and down the wing, and he'll do a top class job for you doing that.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
Yeah. And I think every Arsenal fan will be sad to see him go. Well, I will anyway, to be honest. But he's too good. He's too good to be. You know, he's putting Tommy Asu in at left back, and you know, I can and I can understand them putting the other guys in there because they're all left-footed. But once you see Tommy Asu going in there at left back, I think that's you know, the writing is definitely on the wall.
Tommy Asu, if he had Salah in his back pocket at the end of last season, he was outstanding that day.
But
I agree with you though. I do. That Cheney's good to be sitting on the bench for the whole season.
I think with those players that I named out, lads, and like our spend has been over the £200 million mark, you'd merely be expecting to claw a lot of that back on those potential sales, wouldn't you? Because a lot of the players are worth, aside probably from, you know, no disrespect, but aside from Rob Holding and Matt Turner, you'd expect to be getting a good few bob for the others, wouldn't you? Especially Balogun, you could be expecting a good, 40-50 million?
Even Holding and Turner, as I said earlier, you should be getting up about 20 million quid for Matt Turner, American number one. Rob Holding, you got Rob Holding. You should be getting 15 million easily for him. Premiership, 2 FA Cup winners medals.
Yeah,
you know, he never lets us down, but you know what I mean. He's a good Premiership centre half.
Yeah,
he is a Premier League centre half. As I say, I think there'll be a lot of things the last couple of weeks of the season, or the last couple of weeks of the window. Sorry, and I think you'll see bids coming in for all those players then. Once the season starts and clubs start to say, right, I'm right here, then you'll see the bids coming in. So
yeah,
I think the last week of the window is going to be crazy for everybody. I think it's going to be. It's going to be the last week of the season.
Yeah, it's always like you'd hate to be retaining players that know they don't have a future, and in respect to them, they've given, you know, they've done their best with the years, and you can only like to see them move on and progress with their career, you know, instead of holding them back. So it's only be a busy end of season, transfer deadline day. Sky Sports will have a splash for 24 hours like they normally do. As I said earlier on, that's the Arsene Wenger statue was unveiled there outside the Emirates, along with he joins Thierry Henry, Tony Adams as well, just to name a couple, and Dennis Bergkamp, obviously. Are you happy, starting with you, John, that he got a statue at long last outside the Emirates?
It's going to happen. It was a matter of time, and I'm surprised they unveiled it before the Monaco game.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have unveiled it then, but it was always going to happen. I'm delighted it's happened. The timing's right. He obviously came back last season for the game. Time heals everything. I guess people are starting to realise. You know, a lot of fans, including myself, thought it was time for him to go maybe a season or two earlier. But you can't forget what he did do for the club, and I'm delighted the statue's there. He deserves it.
Are you happy, Brandon, to see Arsene Wenger? Like, he propelled us miles ahead, didn't he? Well ahead of our time, and it's nice to see that. Yeah,
and well deserved. And I'm delighted that he's back. I'd like to see him almost doing what Ferguson does at United, sitting at every game, and you know, as we were saying, time's a great healer. And I know, like John said, he's I think he was more than a couple of years overdue to leave. Should have left after the whole cup final. I think that would have been perfect, but it's he stayed, and that's the end of this. That's the end of it. And I think people were glad to see him go, and now they're glad, very, very happy to see him back. All 100%. Is forgiven. Always says he's an Arsenal fan, and we all knew he's an Arsenal fan. And it's, you know, it is. He deserves everything there. You could have named a stand after him. I think everyone would have been happy. He deserves everything he gets. And is the statue actually unveiled? Or I know there's pictures of it. Is there an official unveiling or?
It's like a little seat nearly there as well, yeah.
And say, but it is out there. It's
and I'm looking forward. I'll be over for the Forest game, so I'm looking forward to going to see it. And hopefully, if I get close enough to it, get a photograph taken with it, because I have nothing but that. That's a man I would love to meet face to face and just shake his hand and thank him, because he was amazing. So
we'd never be in the Emirates Stadium now without him. I don't think it'd be fair to say. We'd probably still be possibly at Highbury, and with the owners we've brought in as well, like they've seen the vision, how big Arsenal are. It's only when you go to America and Asia how big we actually are followed. Like it was like a dream. The Kroenke said to have them playing, and that was it, the MetLife Stadium, I think it was.
Allegedly.
And like they put their money where their mouth is now, haven't they? The Kroenkes, you can't say they haven't. They've given Arteta the money and who he wants, and now it's up to Arteta and Edu now really to, as you say, get their arse in gear and get us the trophies that we deserve. But most importantly, I think we all agree last season they've given us hope again. It's the hope that kills you, as John always says to me, but we believe, isn't it? They've given fans a sense of, we believe we can be a contender again.
Yeah, and it's as I said again, it's the feel good factor that they brought into the club. The anthem, like the angel that goes around, and the atmosphere. And you'd all agree, anyone that was in that stadium last year, if they compared it to 5 years ago or 10 years ago,
different place,
incomparable. And I've said it to people before. Highbury was never as good as this.
And that's
never.
Say,
Do you know what I mean? Never. I was there a few times. The place was absolutely rocking. But the Bournemouth game was registered when the Nelson goal went in against Bournemouth. It registered on the Richter scale. So it's, and I love it. I can't wait to get back. And it's been a long time since I've felt that. And I obviously I always go back, but now I'm excited. And I was excited last year. I'm more excited again. I'm back at that little boy excited. We might win something.
It's a great feeling, though, Brendan, just saying that, like you're like a kid again. Like we haven't said that we've dreaded going into seasons because we've lost one or two top players every summer there. The minute we moved into the Emirates, it did cost us for the guts of 10, say we're there 20 odd years now, 17 years or so. And we're only really beginning to feel at home now, aren't we, really, over the last 2 or 3 years, where we haven't had to sell, where we've added talent and quality transfer window. And it's the excitement on Facebook and Twitter, and there's very few meltdowns now bar Craig and Ian Gunnery. But he says he's a changed man last week, so the retreat to Malaga has done him the world of good. Go ahead, Brendan.
You build memories in a new home by winning things and having amazing games and amazing memories. Like we won FA Cups and stuff, but they were all won at Wembley. Yeah. We've never won anything. We've never won anything at Ashburton Grove, the Emirates. So now you've got amazing games all last season. That Bournemouth game will live long in memory. Man United, last minute winner, Liverpool. These are all like absolutely classic games, and the tempo, the crowd were behind them. So that's memories. And okay, we never won anything, but still, it's amazing. It's building amazing memories, and fingers crossed we can keep it going and actually bring some proper silverware in. Not saying the FA Cup isn't proper, but you know what I mean. Like get the league and do something in Europe, and have our big memories, and that's when it will really, really feel like home.
And it's only a matter of time by the looks of things, lads. It's the hope that kills you. But
when you say that, I'm warning you.
I said Reece Nelson's goal when he scored that in the 90-odd 6th minute or something, that goal was on to define our season. It really did. we went to we didn't go on to win the league. So no, look, that goal was just it was like winning the league that day, wasn't it? It was like a goal in the last minute to win a major competition. It was fitting to win any competition, but
I was lucky to be there, so it was amazing,
Yeah, so. A lot of you at that game, weren't you? Yeah, it must have been incredible, wasn't it, when that goal went in? Like, yeah,
just bedlam, and that's the only way to describe it. Utter bedlam. And as I said, like, it was measured on the Richter scale, so it's just.
To come back from 2-0 down as well, like, it makes it even sweeter, doesn't it? Because we've, just those memories along with Eddie and Ketty against Man United. I think you were at that as well, Brendan, in January. Remember he scored that last minute. I don't know whether you were at that, John, but like, we had so many last minute wins, and the belief of we were going to get something till the very end, where other games season gone by, the heads would have went down and the game was gone. But Arteta's drilled it into them. Don't give up. Don't give up. And yeah, it's great.
We were grabbing at straws all the way to the end of the season, and we were letting in far too many goals, but we were scoring, we were coming back, and and we were just like trying to keep our head above water, keep going, and then everyone knew it would probably never last, but hey,
they made
what a way! What a way! What a journey!
Well, that's a big shout out to the Ashburton boys, and I think they make a big difference again. Like, they've added something to it as well, haven't they? In the stage, they keep going right till the last minute as well. It's great to see when they're there. Yeah.
But there's an issue with them this year, though. I think the club have cut the ticket allocation.
Oh, that's a big bummer. Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading that there's however the ticket allocation has been done now. Their ticket, however many tickets they normally get, is almost cut in half. So I think there was a big hoo-ha on Twitter about it, and fingers crossed they get it sorted, because they are absolutely amazing. Yeah, really.
Yeah. It's like gold dust this season. I'm obviously. You don't go online to buy a ticket. You go online and put your name in the ballot. You're looking at 17 years now into the Emirates, and you're saying the stadium could be 20,000 bigger, and you'd be still lucky to meet the demand. It's insane. Tickets are going to be like gold dust this season.
Yeah, and it's great to see as well that fans are crying out for tickets, where years ago you'd nearly see empty seats, back in, 2018, 2018, yeah.
Someone can't pass that ticket on someone because someone wants it.
Yeah.
And
I have to say, fair play to Arsenal. They're clamping down on touts. It's big time, aren't they? Like, a lot of tickets have gone back on sale for the Community Shield, where fans were actually trying to make a profit.
They're not printing tickets. If you're not a member in the membership scheme, you're not getting in.
You're not getting it, yeah. The tickets are gone.
Printed tickets are gone. They're really clamping down on ticket sales. They want genuine fans to get the tickets.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they can. It's going to hurt a lot of people, but it's just the way it is. It's the way it is.
I'm not too sure, just briefly, lads, not too sure. I think the digital pass game, I think it's the furthest game onwards, isn't it? I don't think the Emirates Cup is included at the moment.
For every league game and every competitive game in the Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, it's going to be the digital pass.
Yeah, and in terms of that, I know Eamon mentioned it last week, for the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club members, regarding tickets, you have to be an official Arsenal FC member, not the club or the Dublin Arsenal Club. It's the actual
red member
on the Arsenal web. Yeah.
It does take confusion, because a lot of fans thought they had to be a.
I know.
Yeah,
it is for some people.
Yeah,
it's not like this game is new. It's been around since the 90s. Come on.
It's just that they've kind of been lenient, haven't they, in terms of paper tickets? Yeah.
Email and tickets, but now it's the digital pass. It's the future.
We're in the 24th century, all right. Is there anything else football related, lads, you'd like mentioned? Anything Arsenal or anything you'd like to share?
I think we've covered a lot tonight, Johnny.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, lads, it's been a pleasure having John and Brendan on the show. You can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel as always. Thanks to Martin Stumble for editing and putting this up. Without him, we'd be lost. So thanks to you, Martin. Also catch us on Spotify, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok and Facebook. Beyond the Last Man with Martin Stumble, hopefully we'll kick off again in the new season when the Women's Super League kicks off. Bannon Sports Direct and LUCAN Housekeeping Services are our sponsors. Thanks for doing a good job in Declan Rice's new home. Check out our friends at JustArsenal.com, and at the moment it's the River Bar, but who knows?
It's the River Bar next season.
It is the River Bar.
Definitely the River Bar next season.
You've heard it first, John. Thank you for that confirmation. It's been a great show, lads. It's been a really good show to have you on. Thanks to John Mealy and Brendan Boyle. I hope everyone else has a good week, and we'll see you again next week. Cheers, lads. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys. See you later.